Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Home Dad Chat. Danny and I were just talking and decided that we probably should hit record and actually have a conversation that y'all can hear as well.
Let you guys hear us. Why not?
Why not?
We're being so funny, and now we've used up all our good material. And
yeah, well, I know, but you told me that you have a short memory span, so we can go back and talk about it again.
I'm like Dory. You know Dory from
Oh, totally know Dory. Yeah.
Nemo, Finding Nemo. Sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember that.
Hey, there you go.
But that's me. That's maybe not that bad. I definitely will remember. Oh yeah, well no, I've talked to you 5 minutes ago, but then I won't remember your name. But,
Hey,
cool. I've actually got your name written to the side, so I can remember who I'm talking to.
that's good, and your name written there as well. So you're well, and they're on the screens. If you know,
your wife shows up every once in a while, and I have to look down my note, my post-it. Oh, who's that name? No.
What's her name again? Kidding. Yeah, I agree.
As long as you don't do that, it's fine.
It varies. She might get called one of the kids' names or something like that. That's not uncommon. And the dog gets called the kids' names, and the kids get called the dog's name, and that's how it works, man. But no, I mean, so what we were talking about was the fact that my 8-year-old, who's in 3rd grade, has this reading assignment where he has to do it's like a storyboard setup. And so he read a book. They have those AR books that they do tests on and stuff. So he reads a book, and then he has to do this like 6-frame storyboard. And the book that he chose, and he's all about it, is the Wings of Fire series. Like, he read the first book. So he was really excited to tell his classmates about it. But the problem is that one of the things that says that they want very detailed storybook, the frames have to be very detailed. So first he's freaking out because he's like, how do I draw a dragon? Thank God for YouTube. And all I just searched was Wings of Fire drawing dragons. And like, they're literally like 4 or 5 like very accomplished artists on there who show you how to draw these dragons, which is really cool. Reminds me of so there used to be a show on PBS, I believe it was out of Texas, but it was syndicated all over. You had the I'll pull it up here on my phone really quickly because I had it on here. He was known as Commander Mark. Also, so Commander Mark and the Secret City, and he taught you how to draw 3-dimensional objects. It was really cool. And of course, this is back in the day before there was even like, hey, I can pause my TV or anything like that. Like, a lot of kids I knew would record it, and then they would go back and they could pause it as they watch it, because he did some pretty detailed stuff with 3 dimensions and shading and things like that.
Now for our listeners, especially the young ones, what did he record it on?
Oh, VHS, my friend. Straight up VHS.
VCR and fire up a tape.
That's right. So he was, and so he's an Emmy award-winning artist from the 80s. But he did the Secret City, and then he came back in the 90s and he did the Imagination Station and just carried it on through. And it's it's an interesting show.
Yeah.
I found some YouTube episodes of it that someone put on from AVH. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Like, so people would record it on VHS, and I think about it, when you did VHS back in the day and you would record something and watch it and then rewind it, the more you paused and rewind and all that kind of stuff, it started to etch up the tape, right?
Yeah.
So you get these lines. That's exactly what these videos look like on YouTube. Like, you can tell that this person had like stopped and started the video so many times, and then they digitized it, took the VHS somewhere and had it digitized, or they bought the stuff and did it and then uploaded it to YouTube. And so like, the audio is horrible, the video is horrible, and you're like, oh, this is definitely a VHS tape. But anyway, it just got me thinking, like, I love to draw, and I used to just enjoy sitting in front of the TV. And so to be able to just set him in front and say, here, like, watch these videos, they're going to show you how to do it. No, yeah, by the way, you get the ability to pause the thing and, work it out however you want to. So he started on that. But the problem is that I think he had told us like 2 weeks ago, hey, I've got this project. And I said, okay, great. Like, what do you need? And so he told me the things he needed. I got them for him. And I just kind of like would check on him, but not like I wasn't pushing him because like I got enough stuff to deal with at the house, and so it came down to this week, and I was like, hey man, I was like, you didn't do any of it this weekend. I was like, you got to nail this down. And that's when he like springs on me the whole like everything that he's gonna want to do with it. And I'm like, you want to draw how many dragons? And you like there are five dragons, and there are like all these different scenarios. And so I'm just like, okay, like I don't know what to tell you. So like so yesterday I started working on it. He did one dragon. It's very detailed, like all the way down to the scales. And then today he was like starting to work on the second dragon and having a hard time with it. And eventually, like, we had to be like, dude, like, you're gonna run out of time. Like, you're just not gonna have the time for it. We want to make sure you get a good grade, but like, can you pick something else? And as soon as we started having that conversation of like pivoting away, like it was just like a volcano just erupted. So, and I felt bad. Like I felt bad as a parent. I'm like, I failed my kid. Like that was the initial feeling. Like I feel like I failed him because I didn't do a very good job of staying after him about doing his assignment and everything. But at the same time, we're also trying to, raise them up to be independent kids who, can do these different things. And he's got an agenda. So it's not like he doesn't know what he needs to do because it's right there. But it was just kind of, it was disheartening, and it's frustrating. And I don't know, like, is that something have you dealt with that with your kids? Because you got older kids than mine.
A lot of opportunity to
you got a lot of opportunities to be in this place.
Well, I'll say, the thing that hits me is however we do as parents. I think we're always almost every parent that I talk to, you're kind of harder on yourself. You just want to, you expect more out of yourself. Why didn't I do this well? And you're always second guessing like discipline or food or nutrition or whatever else. But okay, so he had third grade, right? Third grade, yeah, and had a maybe this assignment does not get done completed, does not. All right, so sure, you can say, well, the parents should have made sure that he got it done. In a way, yes, but the things you learn from failure are much more important than anything you could learn from success, right? So, okay. So next time, he can look at it and go, oh, all right, well, I wanted to do all of these things. I couldn't, I didn't have enough time. So you start that conversation about time management, about achievable goals, about taking things step by step, and that's something that's going to transfer throughout their life. Right. And they're not going to learn that. I think my kids at least never really learn. If I talk and talk and talk, they don't care. But if they are able to go out and see the failure, like, oh, wow, okay, you're right. I need to be doing this. I need to watch my time management. I need to, make sure I'm not shooting too high. I need to know I could take this in stages or steps. Right. I want to have this great, amazing thing. Well, what's the minimum that I need to do to get the assignment completed, right? This is where the bottom level is. And all this other stuff is embellishments and extras. And yeah, we want those bells and whistles if we can, but what's our time frame to get this done?
Right.
Once we get that done, then we can look at it,
And it's an interesting, like, tightrope walk too. I think about like I've you see different kids like they get these things done. You're like, did you do that, or did your parent do that? Like, because and that's the thing. How much are you gonna basically crutch them on, and how much are you gonna let them like have their moment of failure for it? And then too, you as a parent as well have to like kind of swallow some pain in it as being like, I'm letting them fail. And at the same time, like mentally, I need to prepare myself for that, which is kind of where I'm at in a lot of ways, because like we, Corey and I had agreed to the fact that, we're not going to do their homework. We're not going to, I mean, we'll definitely like help them try to figure it out, all that kind of stuff, but we're not doing it
Encourage.
for them.
Yeah.
And because down the road, it's all them. And I don't want them to feel like they have to run to somebody else to figure out something that if they just sat there and like thought it through, they'd be able to do it. And I'm not saying that you can't ask for help, because you can totally ask for help, but you can't expect that person that you ask for help to basically take on the task and do it for you. And so that's, like I said, it's just one of those, like, it's one of those tightrope walk type deals. And so, yeah, I mean, just, he's failed on stuff before when we've talked about like natural consequence type stuff, but I don't think it's fully sunk in yet. But I mean, he's just getting ready to turn 9. So
right. And this is the time, and this all the way up until they leave your house, this is the time where they need to make these mistakes.
Right.
Where they made it this, because that's what they're going to learn. And there's not as much consequence or repercussion if you mess it up now as if when you mess it up in college. And it's something that's a long way off, I know, for you, but like with my oldest, with Fabian, I tell him all the time, I'm like, in college, nobody's going to wake you up for class. Nope. Nobody's going to care if you're in that class or not. Nobody's going to tell you need to get your homework done. You need to get study for this. They're just going to say, okay, we got this test on Friday. See you then. Yeah. And you don't get anything else. You're on your own to motivate yourself. Yeah. And then to keep that self-discipline. And the best time to learn that is, I mean, hopefully elementary school would be great, but most of us don't learn self-discipline until at least our late teens, if not 20s or 30s, who knows? Right. So it's great that he has that opportunity. But again, I get it. It's really hard to see it when they're quote unquote failing. Yeah. It's hard. You don't want your kid to fail, but at the same time, they're going to learn a lot.
Well, and it's the whole idea of like, you think about team sports, for instance, you get somebody who's like, they're always winning and they don't know what loss is. So then when they actually are, defeated in something, like it like defeats them, like literally, like to the nth degree of that word. And they don't sometimes know how to come back from it, or, it is such a high pedestal to fall from. And so that's the other thing. It's like, I want my kids to know what that feels like. It's a something that pushes you to, I don't want to feel that again. I do know how to respond to it if it happens, but at the same time, like, this is my motivator to get these things done. So hopefully, that it'll be interesting to see what all takes place from it. I'm not sure where it's going to go exactly. He was so tired today. Like, he's one of those kiddos that he gets so tired and so ran down to the point where like it all just becomes emotion at that point, and you can't speak anything into him. He won't even like eat very well. And I just came to a point where I'm like, go take a shower and go to bed, man. Like, there's like hit the showers, dude. Like, you're done. So that's where we're at. But on a positive note from all of that, my 6-year-old daughter, she came up to me and was like, Papa, the living room floor is very dirty. And in my mind, I'm immediately like, well, okay, like, I got stuff I'm doing. What you want to do about that? And I didn't say it. I just thought it in my head. And she was just like, can I vacuum the floor? And I'm like, yes, you can. And certainly. And so, I showed her. I was like, this is how I was like, you've watched me do it. But I was like, just so you're aware, like, start here and work your way across the room, and that kind of thing. And she did it. She vacuumed the living room, looked really nice. And then we emptied it out. And then she was like, I'm going to do the dining room too. And I'm like, okay. She's like, will you move the chairs like you normally do? And I'm like, sure. Like, and I just had this whole like moment where I'm just like, man, like, she really is like paying attention. And then later on, she was talking to us at the table, and she was like, I watch Hezzy and I watch you do the vacuuming. And so I wanted to do it too. And I was just like, to be 6 years old, man, I was like, that's pretty awesome. And I had a conversation with one of the moms in the lunchroom on Monday, and we were talking about kids being like self-reliant, that kind of stuff. And it was funny because I said, I was like, my kids know how to cook, they know how to do some cleaning, things like that. I have them bring their clothes down to the washer, that kind of stuff, to help out in different ways, and they can unload the dishwasher and put everything away. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I coddle my kids way too much. I'm like, that's all right. I'll take a nice point on that one.
That's right. You made my day, even if you don't feel like a great parent or whatever, you feel better about that. But I feel so much better now.
Well, she said, she's like, I'm very controlling person. And like, I don't even like, I don't let anybody but, me do the vacuuming and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but if you want to have time for yourself, because she was talking about how like the kids are always like nagging her and things. I'm like, you got to give them tasks and move them around. Like, it was just funny, like telling this mom all these things. I'm like, wait a minute, aren't the moms supposed to be the ones that like know everything? Like, that's what I keep hearing. That's what I read. That's what I read about in articles all the time. Ain't that the case?
Us. They're just like us.
Oh, anyway, sorry, moms. I'm just, poking you a little bit.
Well, there's we've had that stereotype of the idiot dad that didn't know how to do anything. And that's it is what it is. But yeah, we all start out knowing nothing. I mean, we may have had great parents that taught us how to be a parent or taught us how to clean and cook and all that. And a lot of like, what I really like is that my mom worked all day, and that's what she did. And when she got home from work, she was really tired. And so she taught us to clean and cook and wash clothes and do all those things. And, even as soon as they were walking, I was asking my kids to help. And teaching them by example and by word. This is how we do. This is a family, so we all do this thing. We all
putting Swiffer pads on the bottom of their feet and having them walk around.
I didn't do that. That would be funny. But we made, I would put like, okay, so if we get this done, I'll let you guys vacuum. And it was like, oh, we get to vacuum, and it was a dumb thing, but they loved it. Or giving them a sponge or a scrubby pad and a little tiny, bucket of water that won't fall over, like a jug or whatever, that it won't fall over, and say, why don't you guys wash the kitchen floor? And they get to play in the suds, and they get to play in the water, and they get wet, and you toss them in the tub when you're done. And, it's a win-win, because they come up with that attitude or that thought of, oh, well, this is what we do. This is just what we do. We pick up our food, stuff. We clean up our mess before we make a new mess,
Yeah. We like with our kids too, they'd be like, oh, can I watch Wild Kratts? Can we do something else? I'm like, you can go load the dishwasher first, and then after that we'll talk, and depending on how they do that task, like you might get to watch TV or not. It just depends on what's up. But it's like, I'm going to give you a task to basically like, reward you as long as you like stay to task and get it done. Like if you're going to act all crazy and, not do it, I was like, we're going to have a conversation about that and kind of maybe alter the request. But I mean, I it's interesting, like the way kids pick things up as like, ooh, this is fun, I want to do this.
Yep. Yeah. And everything can be fun. It comes down to attitude. Happiness comes from within, and so does boredom. And that's something I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, well, you're bored. Okay. Yeah. Well, here, go sweep the floor, go take the laundry up, go do, we've got 100 things you could do.
Right.
If you're bored, there's plenty to do. And like, oh, wait, I don't want to be bored anymore. Yeah. You're not bored. You just don't want to do anything other that's, of worth or whatever. And kids helping, and I say this a lot of times their helping isn't helping.
It depends. Yeah.
It's just not helpful. Well, like doing laundry. Man, taking the time to teach my kids how to take stuff out of the washing machine and put it in the dryer. And it was all of them about them. Just as soon as they were tall enough to do it with me, probably 4, I would think, get up on a little step stool and hand them one thing at a time. And I'm like, this is going to take me an hour. But, my 15-year-old washes his clothes. He doesn't fold them and he doesn't put them away, but he washes and dries them perfectly well. And I don't have to do that,
well,
because
that's a plus.
he knew from, for the last 10, 11 years of his life, he's been doing it. But man, that first part of it, you have to be patient. You have to be dedicated to it. I mean, talk about self-discipline. I'm going to sit here and watch my kids sweep the floor. Oh, boy.
See, you were talking about one piece. I give them a handful. I'm like, here you go. Just like have them go
Take
over.
it.
I'm like,
Hug this.
here's a handful of clothes, like go throw them in the wash or in the dryer or whatever. So
Yeah,
which they find that hilarious, honestly. And it's like they pick up the trail of socks as they are making their way or whatever. But but yeah,
Make
I
a game
mean,
of it.
yeah, exactly. And well, and that's the thing. Like I was, thinking about the fact that, my daughter's like, oh, I watch you do this. And it's like when I do these tasks at home, like I'm not angry. I'm not, rah, 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 like as I'm doing it or, anything along those lines. Like I'm happy to do it. Like it's a blessing to my family. Just I'm in a good mood. I'll have music going or whatever it is. And I think that too, like plays a factor. Like if your kids are seeing you like stomp around the house and be like, I don't want to do this. Damn it, this is ridiculous. Like, that kind of thing. Like that kid's gonna see that and be like, that doesn't seem like the task I want to do. Like yeah. And so it just becomes off-putting. It's like if you're doing it with, with the right, I guess, intention, I don't know, maybe finding your joy while doing it or whatever. That's going to portray that as a good example to your kids, and they're gonna be like, oh, like this is something that is worthwhile, like, and that's the thing that a lot of times you see guys sometimes be like, how do you get your kids to do these things? And it's like, let's put turn the mirror a little bit here. Like, how are you with those tasks? Like, are you grumpy when you're unloading the dishwasher, loading the dishwasher? Like, are you what's going on there when you're like, I've got to go scrub the toilet or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Which nobody likes to do. Like, don't get me wrong, nobody likes to do that.
But how do you approach it? What's your attitude? What's your mindset? And your kids are going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
So if you can, fake it is what I would call it. Because like you said, I don't know a lot of people. I would love to go clean the toilet, but do it like you said. Put some music on, dance while you're doing it, sing. Play a song in the background, play a video in the background. Have an audiobook going, whatever you've got to make it a better experience for yourself. And again, that's a life lesson that a lot of people never figured out.
There was a mom that I know who she posted the other day. She's like, when do the boys stop peeing all over the place and actually hitting the toilet properly? And I'm like, when you take them in and you show them what it takes to clean that bathroom after they've been in there, and then get them to like understand and realize like just how nasty it is. And the fact that when they walk in there and they're standing in their own pee because of it, like there's a light that goes off in that person's head. Like, I mean, that was the thing I did with my son. I walked him in because he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm cleaning the bathroom, man. Like, and not that he was like awful at it, but I was like, this is what happens, like explaining to him, like, like guys pee, splatter happens, like gotta clean it up, that kind of thing. And I've never had that issue with him where it's like, you hear people talk about like, there's pee all over the walls and all these, and I'm like, no, like if that happens, man, you nip that in the bud quick and get that taken care of, because that's not something that you want to continue to repeat.
I've never seen my kid like standing in the middle of the bathroom spinning in circles peeing or anything. It's mainly just the toilet seat, the lid, that area.
He's just trying to cover that whole area.
That's what he gets.
Paint by urine.
my 9-year-old he'll go in and he'll lift the lid just enough, and then
like he's holding on to it.
Yeah, he'll hold it open and pee in the hole basically between the seat and the lid. And I'm like, no, lift it all the way up, stand it vertical, get it out of the way. I was like, I'm not going to clean this. You are. And I did watch him very carefully, because little boys, little children, being kind of ignorant of what germs really are,
sure.
I don't know what he would have done. He put his hand in his mouth when he was done or something. I don't know. But I watched him all through it, and I was like, okay, this is what we do. You do it all, but this is what you got to clean this part up with. Just soak this up with toilet paper or whatever. And then we do wipes, and the wipes go in the trash can, not in the toilet, and that whole thing. And it just, I mean, I've had a couple of little issues with him still, because he's just not quite getting the lesson, because he wants to do other things.
Yeah.
Stopping to pee is keeping him from playing or doing, reading a book or, whatever he's watching or whatever he's doing. That's stopping him from having fun. So he goes and does it as quick as he can. And I kind of get that. I mean, I understand that. but
yeah,
come on, man, take a bio break and make it a committed 5 minutes. The world will wait for you, I swear.
yeah, no kidding. You're not missing out on anything, I promise.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, so that's kind of where things are in the state of the house or whatever. But yeah, it's been interesting, just sort of different stages of that kind of stuff. So,
And the recurring thing is, no matter, I don't know, maybe other dads have gotten to that point, but even my oldest is 15. So I've been doing this like 12, 13 years, whatever. I still hit stuff on probably at least once a week, if not once a day, that I feel like I didn't do that right, or I felt I could do that better, or I just don't know what to do.
yeah,
I'm at a point, I'm like, I don't know how to handle this.
right,
I'm going to give it my best shot, but I'm still winging it because kids are constantly changing.
sure,
And as a parent, I mean, you just have to keep changing and adapting and building your skill set and building the tools in your toolbox, as it were. But I think it too, it's while that's kind of maybe negative or maybe disheartening if you look at it, but the reality of it is where we are in that moment, everybody's there eventually. At some point. We're all just figuring it out as we go along. You're not alone. So
yeah, definitely. And that's the thing that is sometimes hard to remember when you're in the situation. So, because it is so frustrating. But
that's why you call Danny. Be like,
yeah,
Danny, I'm feeling like this.
that's why I figured I'd just wait and talk to you tonight. Oh, good. I just was like, hey, 8:00's gonna come around, man. I'm gonna get to talk to Danny. It'll be all good. He'll have some insight. So
gonna make a choke on my whiskey.
Hey, you could choke on that whiskey without having to worry about me making you laugh. From what you were saying. That's a rough one.
It's a rough one. It's a little, I think it definitely needs to be cut. Just so everybody else knows what we're talking about, I have several sample bottles that are really good. Very kind man, I know. A friend of mine sent to me, and it's the McKenna Select 10-year. And I just found it surprisingly oaky. And before I cut it a little bit with water, it was all of the fire, but none of the warmth. It wasn't spicy. It was just, oh, is this a burning piece of wood in my mouth? Without the smoke taste. But it was rough. But I cut it a little bit. And honestly, the more you drink, the better it is.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean,
that's true about life too.
Sometimes your palate just takes a little bit to warm up to stuff like that. So I completely understand. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, well, the other thing that was kind of neat that happened today, which I thought was kind of cool, was I had a guy who joined the local dads group that I run. And he was telling me that, they're about to have their first kid arrive in May. I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. And so he's very proactive. Actually, he doesn't even live that far from me. He just lives down the street, really. And so we got to talking, and he's like, we're looking at me being a stay-at-home dad. And I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, okay. And I was like, are you on Facebook? Because if you are, I got a group for you to join. And he was like, yeah, I am. And so I got him in, and he requested in to join the group. And I'm like, this is a deeper place to get a lot more questions answered. And, I was telling him, I was like, the one thing that you really got to do is get on the same page with your spouse, and basically to be in a place where expectations are understood. That way when she's coming home, and the house is in complete disarray, like it's understood that it's been that kind of day or whatever. But his thing that he's most concerned about right now, and I totally understand this. So his big concern is like, I'm a flight nurse, and it's, an exciting life and a lot of exciting work. And he's going to be doing it less, but still doing it, I think, like a weekend type of deal. But he was like, I'm really worried I'm going to be bored, while I'm at home with the kid. And I'm like, I get it. Like, as a baby, sure. Like, it probably will be boring, like, honestly, because especially if you're just going to sit there and watch them, like, rolling on the ground or whatever. And I was like, I was like, there's a bit more of a deeper conversation to it, but I figured I'd just maybe even just share a little bit on here. But I always tell guys in that situation, I'm like, strap that kid to your chest and go do stuff. Like,
bingo,
get out of the house.
Get a sling and go.
Yeah, just go, do whatever. Go for a walk. Like,
what are almost anything that you would normally do?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, not everything, of course, but if you have a sling, or sling or carrier or whatever you've got, and you can keep that baby with you, and the temperature's all right and everything, and of course feeding and all. I mean, you do have to be careful, but go hiking, I don't know, maybe not play golf, but don't go swimming. Okay, there's a couple of things, but realistically, I really like. I don't know what people like. I like to go to football games. Okay, take your kid.
Or you can do. You can go to a base. I mean, they're going to be born in May. You could go to a baseball game.
Yeah, and the kids, they may be crying, they may be upset, but again, a lot of things, because I didn't do this with my kids at all. Everybody wants their house to be, oh, don't wake the baby, you got to be quiet. But no. We want the music going. I want a vacuum cleaner. I want a train going by. Let's do the whole thing so they can learn to sleep through that.
Yeah.
But and I will say, if that guy is listening, the advice I think you'll find more than anything else is sleep when the baby sleeps.
Yes, for sure.
Doesn't matter what time it is. That baby's sleeping, you sleep, because when that baby's awake, you're gonna be awake.
Well, that's the other thing too. Strap the kid to you, and you can go you can vacuum and all those other things. They get used to that sound as well, and
then they sleep through it.
Yeah,
better.
I mean, I remember. I think it was, because I couldn't do this with my son, but with my daughter, like I would put her in the carrier and go out and mow the yard, put some like little earmuffs on her, like, because we had some stuff from when I took my son to like a monster truck rally, and I was like, oh, we'll put these on her. Put those on her, out cold. Just walked around for an hour and mowed the yard, and no big deal. So
I took my second, third, and fourth kids all on the tractor with me in a sling, in the same sling, actually. My sister-in-law made it, and let's go. And they, the tractor isn't quite as close and loud. It was an old diesel engine, so it's a little bit lower pitch or whatever. So, but they'd be there for a little bit, and as long as it didn't get too hot, I'm going to get all this stuff knocked out, knock this brush down, and
well, it's like, do you remember Chris? Do you remember Chris Leppert from Home Dad Con?
Yes.
Yeah. So when his daughter was 6 months old, he strapped her in a carrier, chest carrier, and went out and did like scouting, and he also just scouting for deer and turkey, and then he took her into the I think it was a turkey blind, actually, when she was about 8 months old, and so I mean, it's one of those things where it's like he put her right into the elements of everything that was going on, and I thought that was great because because I mean, he's stay-at-home dad that's loves the outdoors, and I mean, you got a kid that you just strap to you, and you can still go do the same things that you maybe only would have got to do prior and on the weekends because you were working. You can go out during the week while everybody else is working.
Teach that kid, show them about that part of life. They may not want to do it. That may not be what they want to end up doing, but they will always have that. And I remember when Dad used to take me hunting. I never really liked it, but it was fun being with him. Or I remember doing this and that, or it may be bad. I always got water in my boots, or whatever silly thing that happened. But time is the most important thing with your kids.
Yeah.
Time. Just spend that time with them. And if you think you're getting bored, take them with you. What do you want to go do? Maybe not. There's some things you shouldn't do, of course, with a baby on you, but realistically, go do it, or go modify it. Oh, I really like to go, cross country skiing. Yeah, maybe not, but it's summer, it's, cooler or warmer weather. So go for a hike.
Well, if you live in like a city or town where it's like, I've never really adventured around and like seen anything. It's like, and here's the opportunity. Like, you have a kid that can't tell you no. and
you never know how important that is until they start telling you
exactly.
No.
When they start saying no, you'll understand that one right off the bat. But it's like, so you got a kid that can't tell you no. You got a kid that it's very easy to take a few items with you and feed them or whatever, but at the same time, like, it's the opportunity for you to go adventure and see different things, and like, especially like wherever you're at, like there's probably things where like, oh, I would have loved to have gone to do that. It's like, why didn't you? Like, like, you're just walking around, for crying out loud. Like, what's the big deal?
And then, especially if you're in a city, find that dad group.
Yeah.
That is so important.
Yeah.
As an
Or just
at-home
don't,
parent.
or just find another dad that you see and just walk up to him and be like, hey, what's up, buddy? With another baby strapped to you.
Right. Right. Real men wear babies. Come on.
But I'm seriously though, like, yeah, I mean, that's the other big thing. Like, don't don't feel like you can't walk up to another dad and start talking to him. Like, they're probably just as lonely as you are. Like, I had to get out of the house. Me too. Oh, great. This is awesome.
If nothing else, you have that in common immediately.
Hey, next time, next week, same place, same time, right? Yeah. Okay, great. See you then.
Yeah.
So it works. Hey, wife, I met a friend.
Right. Just stood around and really didn't talk about anything, but we have babies.
We have babies. That's right. Yeah. We have that in common. Sleep deprivation. Oh, that too. Yes, that too. Dependency on a bottle. Well, maybe. Oh man. Yeah. So that's, I mean, it's good that kind of stuff's out there for sure. And so who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. So it's cool to connect with him today. And actually another dad that lives in the area, I put out a thing. I was like, hey man, like I'm gonna go to this brewery down the street to watch the first half of the Bengals game. And I was like, if anybody's free, wants to come hang out. And so he was like, yeah, man, I'd like to do that. So he came and got to hang out with him for a bit. And he's like, he does blacksmithing and he hunts, but he's like teaching himself how to hunt. And so I was talking to him about Chris, actually. Like, I was like, hey, like I need to get you connected with Chris, because he was telling me about, well, yeah, because he was telling me about like his process for doing some different things. And I'm like, are you just like, where are you learning this at? He's like, oh, I'm just finding it all on like YouTube or whatever. I'm like, all right, I need to get you connected with Chris, man, because Chris Leppert can teach you things that it's more better to have a hands-on than just watching it on a video.
The man has mad skills.
Oh yeah,
he is it takes 5 minutes. Like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's a way better hunter than I'll ever be.
Yeah, well, he's just a great outdoorsman in general, and just a really down-to-earth guy. So, but yeah, so I was like, I'll get you connected with him, and maybe you guys can figure something else out. I was like, heck, I can maybe probably even go out with you that way. Like I need to go see him too. I got some things I need to take care of, as far as getting some arrows situated and things like that, because I'm getting closer to being able to hopefully be able to pull that thing back and fire it off with no problem. So
what do you have? Have we talked about that before? Because if we have, I forgot about it. What do you
I've got a PSE Stinger compound bow. So nothing fancy. Mine, I think I've got a 65 pound draw with like I don't know, like a 20-pound let off or something like that.
Yeah, you need to make sure that your doctor has approved that, sir. Shoulder injury.
I know. Well, hey, I didn't say I was going to do it. Like, no. I'm not pulling that back until I get the A-OK.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing I was telling him. Like, I was like, I want to be able to basically have that motion and be able to do those kind of things. I was telling him, I was like, maybe I just bring the bow in. I'm not going to like, do any kind of like pulling it back to dry fire type thing, but I can hold it up in the air and do some of the exercises that I do like with it.
Yeah.
And just see how that feels. And then also to be able to get some like adjustment ideas from him.
And is it a good weight for you for doing that type of exercise for your physical therapy? I mean, I don't know how heavy yours is. I mean, mine's old, so it's a solid piece of bow for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably pretty close to the blade thing that he has me using to, do some, it's called a body blade or something like that. So I hold it out and I basically like, I'm kind of like shaking it in like a rhythm type deal, like side to side. And so, yeah. And it's basically like holding a bow. It's the same formation on it. So
nice.
But yeah. So who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, I'm getting excited about that.
That's great.
Yeah. But other than that, definitely working on lining up some stuff. I know we've been talking about it for a while.
We've been, and I will say too, I think we're hitting our stride again. We took some time off just mentally around the holidays and the new year and all that. I mean, we really both just needed it from a lot of various reasons. I mean, and I think everybody's been kind of just exhausted over the last couple of years. But I really think for us too, it's just getting some opportunities to kind of bad analogy for you and I, but to let our hair down, and just kind of relax and be like, okay, so I'm not going to worry about when I can get a guest in here or what they're going to talk about or what we need to talk about. We could just have a conversation and be, maybe not as polished and professional as, as we could be, and perhaps as maybe other podcasts might be, but realistically, we're just ourselves. And I think we're both fine with that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And not having guests on for a while, it's been a break for us. I think,
I will say though, the one thing that I am hoping for, and the thing that I'm pushing for right now, is for us to hopefully maybe get on some other podcasts to be able to talk about the show, to help like push forward, like just that we're out here and, what audience we're looking for. So hopefully, there's a few different shows that will grab us up. I know I'm going to be on the Dad Ass podcast, which is, I think I talked about that before. It's a podcast about parenthood and cocktails out of Columbus, Ohio. So I'm going to be on there talking cocktails and fatherhood and definitely promoting the show. So I'm excited to get on with them, but hopefully some other shows we can jump on, be able to have that appearance and, mutually help each other in different ways. I'd really like to get on a show that is run by moms, that are pro dad and really just, that kind of thing. So I've been looking around trying to figure out what podcast that would be. But if anybody's listening and knows of one, like, let me know, because there are so many out there.
And I'll admit too, I don't think I've ever really looked for mom centric.
No, me neither.
I mean, it's been, there's been like, okay, I'm looking for food ideas or how to whatever, then moms are doing it, sure, but it's never been something that I've searched, because I've searched for dad stuff. So
the only one that I've been on one show back when I was doing the Nomad Dad podcast, because I met them at a conference, was Pantsuit Politics. Is run by two ladies. They're super nice, out of like Kentucky. I think one's in Kentucky and one's in Ohio, but they had me on because they were just like, we've never met a stay-at-home dad. Like they were like, we've never met a stay-at-home dad before. And they had me on the show and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, they talk politics. Like one's a Democrat, one's a Republican, and like they're friends. And so I'm sure they've had some very interesting things to talk about in the past year or so too. So,
but remaining friends.
Right. Foundationally, like, that's the foundational part of it, is like we can argue and in the end still, love each other as friends. So that was, so that was fun. But that's the kind of thing I'm hoping that happens with the show, is just more promotion out there and get more people, because we keep grabbing different guys up that are like finding it on a whim. And it's like, I'd love for them to be able to listen to a show and then hear, oh, like I didn't even know that existed. Sweet. And, we're able to grab them up as well. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I'm excited to kind of be moving in that direction. It's something that's been more difficult to do over the past year, just with everything that I've had on my plate. So it's nice that I can focus just on that with you and get that put in place. So, and then two, I was talking with Jonathan Heisey Grove, Presidente of the National At Home Dad Network. And we should be at some point here getting a commercial from them, so to speak, like a little spot that talks about how to become a member of the organization, how to support the organization. Nice. And so I'm excited to get that and get that on. And that'll be like a little, little commercial break type thing in between our show or whatever, so that people have a chance to be able to help out the organization, get involved in the organization, that kind of thing. Cause I think that's something that's just missing. And, the board's been so supportive of what we've been doing. I feel like, it's just one way that we can give kind of back to that and hopefully like build into it. So that's coming down the pipeline as well, which I'm excited about, because that's something that I've been thinking about for a while, but didn't really know how to do it. So I'm waiting for them to get us either the script or actually get us the audio track that they're going to do it on. I don't know which. You would know more of that than me.
I might, but I wouldn't be able to say anything about it because
I get it. Okay. But anyway, other than that, I don't really have much else to talk about tonight. But hopefully, hopefully people that are in the same boat that we're in, trying to figure out how to, motivate our kids and, help them fail successfully, I guess is a good way to put it. Got something out of the show tonight. So, but we'll talk to you all again next week. So have a good one.
All right. Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.